So a year ago, President Xi indicated that Peking University wanted to develop such a program, an American-style JD program for China. And so last summer, we obtained approval from the State Council for Peking University to create the 605th law school in China, which would be different from the first 604 and would be called the School of Transnational Law. The School of Transnational Law, which we call STL because everyone is fond of acronyms, STL is self-consciously modeled on the American law school program, and it is intended to prepare its graduates for the transnational bar. The school will open its doors in September on Beida's second campus in Shenzhen, and it is only going to teach students who have already completed a bachelor's degree in a subject other than law. So this is, again, on the American model of graduate professional education rather than undergraduate legal education. All classes will be in English, the international language of the international legal profession. Emphasis will be placed on the use of the Socratic method to teach about decisions that are written by judges as the primary pedagogy. Professors will come from around the world, but primarily from the U.S. The costs of such a program are obviously high, and so, again, we have borrowed from the American law school model of fundraising, and so we have been fortunate to attract additional support from Lenovo, from some multinational law firms, and from Hank Greenberg and the C.V. Starr Foundation, who were honored last night. We announced in September that we would be opening our doors this coming September, and we received several hundred applications from students across China. We ended up offering admission to about 60 students. I personally interviewed 110 finalists for these seats, and I have to say I was inspired by the commitment and the aspiration of these students. And one aspect of the interviews reminded me both about the incredible pace at which China has been building these legal institutions for the rule of law, and about the influence of the media and culture on people around the world. I asked the candidates why they wanted to become lawyers. Was there a particular lawyer that they knew who had inspired them to want to emulate them and become a lawyer? And well, it turned out, of course, that fewer than half of the candidates I interviewed had ever met a lawyer. Remember, no lawyers in China in 1976. So what was it that was making these candidates want to become lawyers themselves? And their vision for what a lawyer does came in significant part from television, and even more significantly from the movies. And one movie in particular was mentioned over and over again by different candidates as the reason why they wanted to become a lawyer. And significantly for the location of this year's Committee of 100 conference, it was a Hollywood movie. And as these candidates described it to me, and they described it in fairly similar terms, and this is probably 20 different applicants talking about this same movie, the story of a young lawyer misunderstood by the larger world, striving to be able to make a distinctive contribution to the cause of justice. And some of these students, interestingly, said they saw this movie as a metaphor for China emerging onto the world stage. And they also saw it as a metaphor and a signal for their own lives. They wanted to study law so they could be part of this transformation. Now, the movie that inspired these students to want to become lawyers in China is Legally Blonde. Now, I do not think that very many Americans would describe Legally Blonde in the terms that I just used. But I think that this is a very useful reminder of what this process of institution building is all about. Legally Blonde has a different meaning in China than it does in the United States. And that reminds us that this so-called American JD program will have a different meaning in China than it does in the United States. It will have Chinese characteristics. And it is my hope and my expectation that this school, this American JD program, and the continuing development of the transnational legal program in China will also be a source of innovation rooted in Chinese history and Chinese culture, which will then feed back into further improvements in American legal education. I cannot tell you how exciting it is for me to be a part of this process and what a continuous source of real inspiration it is for me. Thank you.